Central Bank of Nigeria issues downward review on electronic transaction charges. House of Representatives tells CBN to suspend custom e-invoice and invites governor. 33 marginal oil fields licenses revoke. And oil prices set for 6th consecutive weekly gain. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. Now let's bring you up to speed with business development. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has issued a downward review of charges for electronic banking transactions in its revised guidelines. The charges by banks, other financial institutions, and non-bank financial institutions. A circular by Chief Buzo Ifobi, the Director of Financial Policy and Regulation Department, titled Guide to Charges by Banks, Other Financial and Non-Bank Financial Institutions, shows that the CBN reviewed downwards the charges for electronic banking transactions in its amended guidelines to charges by banks, other financial institutions, and non-bank financial institutions. The House of Representatives has urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to suspend the implementation of the recently introduced guidelines on imports and exports. The sudden implementation, the House believes, will result in distortion of prices of goods and services, cause congestion at ports, and delay transactions. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The appeal to the CBN was pertaining to a circular it issued on the 21st of January 2022 with new guidelines introducing electronic evaluator and invoicing for imports and exports in Nigeria. The House advised that a 90-day grace period be given before implementation of subsequent fiscal or monetary policy to enable adjustments and economic stability.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has gradually deviated from its primary function of monetary policy measures and bankers to government and concentrate more on fiscal policy measures, which is the function of the Federal Ministry of Finance.
In adopting prayers of the motion, the House invited the CBN governor to appear before the House Committee on Customs and Excise and brief it on how it intends to implement the guideline without it affecting the 3.1 trillion naira revenue target of the Nigeria Customs Service. Also invited by the House are the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry over an alleged memo to foreign missions, directing them not to comply with provisions of Section 11 of the 2022 Appropriation Act. The issue was raised by Representative Kasimu Megari.
The section of the 2022 Appropriation Act, which was carefully drafted by the legislature and assented by Mr. President, is now being challenged by some officials of government and unpatriotic individuals at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs headquarters.
The ministry wrote a letter to all the embassies that they should not honor the letters written by the National Assembly. They should hold on with implementing the law until they make further consultation with other agencies of government.
And what does the Constitution say about monies appropriated by the National Assembly? I believe the Constitution says that no money can be spent except in a manner as prescribed by the National Assembly. And this is the manner the National Assembly has prescribed.
Today on the program, we are going to talk about planning and sustainable economic development in Nigeria. The focus will be on how all stakeholders of the nation can work together to build based on current and future realities. We have a guest, Professor Margaret King, Professor and Director of International Studies at Chicago State University. She joins us from Chicago. Yeah, welcome to Business Express.
Thank you so much, Musa. Good to be here.
Okay. Okay, now, what's your assessment of reforms undertaken by emerging economies to recover from the effects of the pandemic, since the pandemic is affecting everyone?
Pandemic, yes, it's a global issue, and different countries are handling it the best way they know how. But I also believe in Nigeria, we're doing the best we can, based on the resources we have, and of course, whatever the data might be in trying to fix the situation. And first, I do want to thank you for having me on your show.
Okay, now let's take a look at vaccine distribution. As of January 17, 2022, 51% of Europe is fully vaccinated, while Africa has just about 15% vaccinated and 10% fully vaccinated. What is the implication to the economic growth? I mean, to our economic growth?
You can see that with vaccination. Let's even start from here, the US, where I live, and then we talk about the percentage. Quite a bit, the percentage of folks that are vaccinated in the US are a lot higher, but still then, folks are a little reluctant about going to certain places. And of course, it's being put up that way in the policies. But out in Nigeria and, of course, Africa, uh, Nigeria being a part of that statistics, 15%. I was just in Nigeria in December, and I just did not seem like the pandemic is an issue there. Folks are just going about doing business normally, the issue is not affecting us. But in terms of business, I when I was coming back, I was asked at the airport. I had to provide my vaccination card.
Okay.
That I have taken both. They didn't ask for the booster yet, and so I would not have been able to leave Nigeria if I was not vaccinated. There was another lady who left Nigeria. We were coming on the same plane coming to Chicago. She couldn't fly. She had to go back and make sure she had that record sent to her. So these really would impact businesses. Just I was in Washington, D.C., and there is a hotel there where there was a function, and some folks came in and they said they were not even allowed to go to the restaurant to eat. So that's a great impact on businesses. So out in Africa, we're not vaccinated, but I believe also that the heat in the equatorial area has an impact on COVID, that we do not seem to feel it as much as it is in the Western world.
Okay, now let's look at investment. How else can Nigeria improve its investment environment aside the ease of doing business rating, which the country is not doing bad? And last year, we've seen so much engagement with different countries.
So the issue is, why should we boost that up? We really do need to do a whole lot better than we're doing. I'm not here to criticize anyone.
Okay.
I'm not here to criticize the government or investors. But we do need more because, of course, we have quite a bit of unemployment. We need to invest in the country itself. The issue of foreign investment, others coming in to invest or us going out to invest in other countries. I think charity needs to begin at home to be able to cut down on the rate of high unemployment in the country. The good thing is there is AFTA, all right, the African free trade,
Continental
free trade area,
Yeah.
all right. So that means we only have a limited percentage of investment intra-continental investment, intracontinental trade. We tend to work more with other countries outside of the continent. But I do believe we need to start first at home, encourage investment in the country.
Okay, in which areas do you think we should encourage investment?
You mean the specific
Yeah.
industrial areas? Let's start with agriculture. The country that is not able to feed her people is going to have a whole lot of very sick people because you do not have the food to eat, the right nutrition. And when we do not have that, how can we go to work when we cannot eat, when we are not healthy? A whole lot of other things are going to crash. So let's start with agriculture, the whole enchilada, from the seed to the table. How do we cultivate? All right. How do we grow and a better mechanism, not subsistence farming, that we have had quite a bit. And our folks are good at it. They know what to do. But we can upscale that with research and technology and be able to have the whole value chain increase. So I'm looking at that's one major area. We can talk about technology. A lot of very smart young people in Nigeria. We can invest in technology to be able to scale the activities, of course, of the young people. And we can move also into real estate building, providing Lagos. It's a beautiful place, but there is still need for better housing and some of the other cities that we can go to. So there are different areas that we can invest in, growing within the country and also being able to sell it to other African countries and, of course, for global trade as well.
Okay, a lot has been said about government. Where is the place of private sector in economic development of any nation?
There are the key. All right. The private sector is the key to the economic engine of any country. Here in the US, I want to use that as an example. About 97, if I'm not mistaken by that statistics, lately with COVID, a lot has changed. But the most jobs are provided by small business, and that's the private sector. We do believe in the government putting things together. It is not the job of the government. We make that mistake. It is not the job of the government to create jobs. It is the job of the government to create an enabling environment, a conducive environment for business to thrive. And so if we can encourage a private sector to be able to invest, that's a key stakeholder in our economy. Once we do that, we are going to feel a whole lot better about the economy of Nigeria. Private sector.
Okay, besides remittance from the diaspora, what contribution people like you in the diaspora can really make in shaping the future of this country?
Oh, the diaspora. Are you speaking my language? You know, initially, folks just left the country, come here, go to school with the intention of going back. But you see that that's really not happening now.
Okay.
And these are the current realities, and we need to work with that. The diaspora, yes, have contributed quite a bit in terms of remittance, but we need to do a whole lot more. Personally, I've been teaching at the university and still do, but I sort of cut down on my focus and teaching in the university here. The focus is in Africa. The focus is in Nigeria. As Diaspora, that's why I started an organization called the Global Institute of Planning and Sustainable Development. The idea of that is to bring in the diaspora Africans, diaspora Nigerians, to collaborate with the continental Africans and folks living in Nigeria specifically. So whatever the diaspora has learned from here, we can contribute that knowledge and working with folks in their country that actually know the local realities. So when we bring in, we are in the age of globalization. Okay, and there is also globalization. So once we bring the diaspora to match with the continental, we can attain lots of height in the development of the country. The truth is, diaspora, whether the recent ones, again, it depends on the definition, and I'm going to sort of just touch a little bit on that.
Okay.
It could be folks who left during slave trade, all right, that were forced out. They came here and they understand the technological know-how of the Western world, and they also have an idea of where the financial resources are.
Okay.
These folks, and
Okay.
of course, those who are coming in, they are not through a slave trade, but they want to come back and invest in the country. They
Okay.
don't know how. They don't know specific areas. They've heard about kleptocracy, corruption, and all that stuff. But
Okay.
there are folks in there to show them the way. And so that's the way for them to come together and be able to invest in areas that will be mutually beneficial.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Margaret King, Director of International Studies at Chicago State University.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. In another development, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, on Thursday urged manufacturers to reduce the price of building materials in the country to make housing more affordable, just as he assured them of the Apex Bank's continued support. Emefiele made the plea at the inauguration of the BOA's 3 million metric ton cement plant, which was performed by President Muhammadu Buhari in Sokoto. He said available data show the production capacity of cement companies in Nigeria have witnessed 100% growth from 2014 to 2021. The governor therefore assured operators in the sector of CBN support towards a viable manufacturing sector, while encouraging focus on satisfying the domestic infrastructure needs to help reduce prices of cement and steel. Following the review and issuance of compliance certificate of full business case by the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, ICRC, the Federal Executive Council has given approval for the Revenue Assurance Solution (RAS) project through the Design, Finance, Build, Operate and Transfer public-private partnership model. The RAS, designed by the Nigerian Telecommunications Commission, NCC, and the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, seeks to improve the collation and collection of annual operating levy, AOL, from network operators with the approval by FEC and a requisite vetting by the Federal Ministry of Justice. The next stage will be the commercial close contract execution. The RAS, which is to span a 10-year period, is expected to increase the revenue accruals to the tune of more than 1 trillion naira. Now, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission has revoked 33 out of 161 licenses issued to awardees of the 2020 marginal oil field bid exercise. Chief Executive Officer of the Commission, Benga Komolafe, says the decision was taken due to the failure by the awardees to pay their signature bonuses.
Basically, the marginal field bid round specified a time space duration of 45 days for the payment of the signature bonus, and we actually observed that some of the awardees actually failed to make payment within this time space, and have 33 awards that were not paid for which they did not furnish consideration, and those awards have come back to the basket.
We were never consulted as to who we want to pair with in a feed. It was the Commission's discretion that people were put in feed, and therefore I see this as, okay, you brought partners together, it's like a forced marriage, and you are now saying that they must produce children. If there is no cooperation, how will that happen?
The awardees have been offered the award, and they accepted. They went ahead to furnish consideration, that is, they made payments. So in that respect, it means they've accepted the model that was used in the conduct of the exercise.
Towards ensuring transparency and technology-driven pension services, the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, PTAD, has continued to organize stakeholders forum across the country to acquaint the public with recent initiatives.
This is to take away the field verifications we've been carrying out over the years, which not only is it stressful for the pensioners, it's not very safe. A lot of them have to travel long distances before they get to our verification centers. It's also expensive, both for the pensioners and for government. So we're looking at something convenient.
Commodities market is next. Stocks reversed Thursday's losses to log in gains Friday, a development that has made Nigerian equities close the week in the green. At the end of Friday's session, the all-share index advanced by 0.43% and settled at 46,205.05 basis points. The session also recorded higher deals over Thursday, with volume ending at 313 million and value 5.034 billion naira. Equity capitalization closed at 24.898 trillion naira. FBN Holdings, Transcorp and Zenith Bank top trade in terms of volume as the financial services sector bolster activities. Now, global market is next.
Hello and welcome to the Global Market Review. European markets again fell on Friday as worries about the sudden stop to central bank stimulus and rising tensions between Western powers and Moscow continued to drive world stocks to one of their worst ever starts to a year. The DAX in Germany sank 1.49% to lead losses. UK's FTSE was also down by 0.95%, while France's CAC 40 depreciated by 1.06%. Asian markets were mixed following a volatile session on Wall Street overnight, where investors reacted to comments from the Federal Reserve and US GDP data. The Nikkei 225 in Japan gained around 2.09% to close at 26,717.34. The Shanghai Composite was down by 0.97% and Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index dipped 1.08%. In the U.S., stock futures rose in early trading, boosted by a jump in Apple stocks as Wall Street looks to wrap up a roller coaster week on high notes. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 0.08%, S&P 500 appreciated by 0.24%, and Nasdaq Composite added 0.7%. African markets traded mixed on Friday. Kenya lost 0.2% Tunisia fell 0.09% and Ghana's GSE composite dipped 0.36%, while South Africa and Namibia traded slightly above the flat line. And that's Global Market Review. I am Neka Oko.
Well, that's it. Business Express returns on Monday. Thanks for watching.